Hello and welcome to No Win, No Fee, the show where all 12 of today's contestants are hoping to go home with £4,000, and I'm hoping that they don't, because I do not get paid for being here today. If one of these people take that money, I go away with absolutely nothing. Zero. No win, no fee for me. And if you don't believe me, take a look at my contract. There it is in black and white. You can see what it says there. Remuneration. The presenter agrees that he shall receive no fee for providing the services. In fact, the only way I make anything at all is if this lot fail to get that money. Then I go home with £4,000. So let's meet the people who stand in the way of me and my fee today. Brad, Louise, Ihan, Andrew, Claire, Ruth, Katie, Graham, James, Alastair, John and Martin. Now, you're virtual strangers to each other. You only met just before the show. All you really know about each other are your names. And this is a game of assumption and presumption, because I'm going to ask you to choose players you think are going to get a question wrong. It's sudden death, and it's all about first impressions. There are 12 of you here now. I'm delighted to say that in just a few minutes, there are only going to be 6 of you. And we're going to start by randomly choosing one of you. Somebody's going to be selected to come on up and pick a question and then choose an opponent they think will get that question wrong. And it's James. I wonder how good a judge of character James is. Let's find out as he joins me to choose his question. So, the first person up, James, feeling a bit nervous?
I could be more nervous, Paul.
A bit pensive, maybe?
I'm feeling very pensive indeed, yeah.
Take a look at those 2 questions and decide which one you want to put to somebody here. Which one of those will somebody get wrong? Top or bottom? Take your time.
I'm going to go for the top question, Paul.
Of course, if the person you pick gets it right, you're out, James. Top question?
Yes.
What nationality is tennis player Michael Chang? Louise looks very confident. Graham's getting a bit, is he overacting? Does he not know? Looking thoughtful? You've got to pick somebody who's going to get that question wrong, James.
The person I'm going to choose to answer that top question, Paul, I think is going to be Andrew.
Andrew, he thinks you're going to get this question wrong. Will you join me, please, and face your question? So what was it about Andrew that made you pick him, James?
There's something about Andrew, he looks as though he might be avoiding the question, possibly.
We're going to find out, because he could have been bluffing. Andrew, you've got to get this right to stay in the game. If you do get it right, it's goodbye, James. Take as long as you like. What nationality is tennis player Michael Chang? He's looking thoughtful, isn't he? Still happy with your choice?
I am at the moment.
He's got to get it right to stay in the game. Do you want to give me your answer now, Andrew?
Singapore.
You think Michael Chang is from Singapore? In fact, he's American. Andrew, you are wrong. Which means, James, you've got a place in the next round. And Andrew, I'm happy to say, you are out. So 5 places left in the final round. 5 more people are going to get a chance at my £4,000, but there are 10 of you left. Who's up next? And it's Ruth. I wonder how good Ruth is at reading people. Ruth, join me and choose your question. Now, do you think you'd rather be choosing a question or answering a question, Ruth?
Choosing one.
That's good then, because that's the choice in front of you. Which one do you think somebody's going to get wrong, top or bottom?
I'll choose the top question.
The top question. It's a history question. Study their reaction when they hear it. Who was Henry VIII's first wife? That's the question. Martin is very deliberately there not meeting our gaze. Very poker-faced. Alastair's all nice and smiley. Who are you going to go for?
Ihan.
Ihan, he's smiling now. She thinks you're going to get this question wrong. Will you join me and face your question? He looks cheery enough. Why did you pick on Ihan?
Well, I presume that he wasn't born in this country and that perhaps he doesn't know English history as well as some other people here.
OK, well, he wants to prove you wrong, because if he gets the answer right, you're out, Ruth.
Right.
Here's the question I had. Who was Henry VIII's first wife? He does look like he's maybe not too sure, but that could be a bluff. Happy with the question I had?
I do know a first name, not a surname, I think. I think that's the one.
I need the full name, though.
It's Catherine? Catherine Hart? I don't know. Let me see.
I'm going to wait for me to give you your final answer.
Okay. I'm going to have to say Catherine Hardy.
If Catherine Hardy was Henry VIII's first wife, you're through to the next round.
Okay.
And if you're wrong, Ruth takes her place in the final round. The answer is Catherine of Aragon. Ihan, you're wrong. Which means, Ruth, you're a good judge of character. You take your place in the next round. And Ihan, you got the Catherine right, but not the full name. I'm happy to say you're out. Now we're moving along. 4 more places up for grabs. Who's going to choose a question next? Let's find out. And it's Brad. He doesn't look altogether happy about that. Brad, join me and choose your question. OK, Brad, there you go. 2 questions to choose from, top or bottom. Which one of those do you think somebody's going to get wrong?
I'm going to go for the top question.
The top question. Study their reactions. Who is the Queen's second eldest grandchild? Now, Katie looked down, I think, for the first time that I've noticed. That could be she was just making a little mental count and knows the answer. Claire's trying not to meet our gaze. What are you thinking?
I'm going to choose Martin.
Martin, he thinks you're going to get this question wrong and you're going out. Join us and face your question. Now, we had the same reaction to every question. Why picking this time?
I just don't think I'd be too happy answering the question, and I think Martin's probably closest in age and to me, so I'm hoping he doesn't know it either.
OK, now, Martin, you have to get this right to stay in the game. Maybe a lucky guess will do it for you. Or maybe you were looking a bit evasive deliberately. Maybe you were bluffing. Here's your question. Think about it. Who is the Queen's second eldest grandchild?
I'm going to go for Zara Phillips.
Zara Phillips. Might want to note that body language. If he does go through to the next round, if it's right, he got a bit more active, then he thinks it's Zara Phillips. Still happy you chose him?
Not if the answer's Zara.
£4,000. The answer is Zara Phillips. You are right, Martin. Which means you have a place in the next round. And Brad, I'm delighted to say you are out. So 3 down, 3 to go, but 6 people still standing. There are going to be 3 people here very disappointed in a matter of minutes. Who's up next? And the light has chosen a slightly surprised Alistair. Alistair, will you join me and choose your question? Choice of 2 questions, right. Top or bottom, £4,000, an awful lot of money.
I think I might go for the top question.
The top question?
Yeah.
Here is the question that Alistair has chosen, and he's going to be studying your reactions. What was Patrick McGowan's number in The Prisoner? They're all thinking. So, Alistair, who are you going to choose?
I'm going to choose Graham.
Graham, Alistair thinks you're going to be out very soon. He thinks you're going to get this question wrong. Join us now and face your question. OK, so what was it about Graham that made you think he's a potential victim?
He doesn't look like a free man.
Right. Here's your question. What was Patrick McGowan's number in The Prisoner?
It's number 2.
Still happy you chose him?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take a lot of thinking time.
Seen the programme.
Patrick McGowan's number in The Prisoner is?
It's number 2.
Number 2.
Definitely.
Patrick McGowan's number was number 6. So, Graham, you are wrong. Which means, Alistair, you've got a place in the next round. And Graham, number 2 featured a lot. And you're my number 1. So I'm happy to say you're out. A lot of nervous-looking faces under those flickering lights. Who's going to be up next to choose a question? Who's going to try and find an opponent who's going to get that question wrong? And it's John. He's had a while maybe to study the reactions of his opponents. John, join me now and choose your question. Choice of 2, top or bottom. Are you feeling confident at this stage?
Fairly. We'll go for the top one.
The top question.
Yeah.
Right. Here is the question that John has chosen. How many bottles of champagne are contained in a Jeroboam? Louise looks confident. Claire's looking down, and that could be a bluff. The choice is yours.
I think we'll go for Katie.
So, Katie, he thinks you're going to get this one wrong. Join us and face your question. So what is it about Katie? Do you think maybe she's not as sophisticated, not as greedy? What is it?
She probably likes champagne, but I don't think she drinks that much.
Right. So the question for you, Katie, is how many bottles of champagne are contained in a Jeroboam? What are you thinking? Are you happy with that question?
It's gonna be a guess, I'm afraid.
You still happy with that choice?
Yeah.
What would you do with £4,000, Katie?
I would put it into my theatre company.
What a great investment. Here's your question. How many bottles of champagne are contained in a Jeroboam?
I think it's 4.
4.
Yep.
Now, 4 is right. Katie goes through to the next round. And John, you're out. If she's wrong, you stay in the game. Katie, you said 4? Mm-hmm. The answer is 4. Katie, you are right. Which means you do have a place in the next round. And John, I'm happy to say, it's been great fun. You're out. Just one place left in the next round. But who's going to choose a question? Louise or Claire? And it's Louise having the final choice of questions in this round. Louise, will you join me now? Here we go. Which one do you think Claire will get wrong? Top or bottom?
I'm going for the top one.
The top question. Here it comes, Claire. Now, in the interest of fairness, we're going to leave you there for a little while after I've read it, so you get the same amount of thinking time as everybody else before you come up and give me an answer. Here's the question that Louise is hoping and praying you're going to get wrong. How many points are scored for a motor racing Grand Prix win? She did swallow just a bit when I asked it, but it is nervous there under the spotlight. Claire, will you join us and face your question? She thinks you're going to get this one wrong. If you get it right, you stay in the game. How many points are scored for a motor racing Grand Prix win? Think it's going to be a guess?
She could be bluffing.
OK, Claire, you've got to get this right to stay in the game. Here's the question. How many points are scored for a motor racing Grand Prix win? For the last place in the final round?
I have to say 5.
5 points. If 5 is the right answer, you stay in. If you're wrong, Louise goes through. For a motor racing Grand Prix win, a driver is awarded 10 points, so Claire, you're wrong. Which means, Louise, you take your place in the next round, and Claire, commiserations.
Thank you.
But on the whole, I'm happy to say, you're out. And well done to all 6 of you for getting this far. You've managed to eliminate your opponents, either because you're a good judge of character, you're clever, or maybe you're just plain lucky. But let's hope you've been paying attention to each other's strengths and weaknesses, because now it's time for you to go head-to-head with each other. And, of course, with me. Why me? Well, if none of you win, I put £4,000 in my pocket. And I've been working unpaid now for days and days and days. So I hope it's no win, no fee for you, as we all take one step closer to that money. And in round 2, things get decidedly trickier. Judgment of character is now crucial. You've got to choose your opponent before hearing the question. I then read that question, and to stay in the game, you tell me if you think your opponent is going to get it right or wrong. And as always, we start by randomly choosing one of you. I wonder who's going to be up first. It's all about judgment of character, sizing up the opposition. And it's Martin. Join us and choose your opponent. So you did well. You could have been bluffing, or maybe it was just a guess. You feeling confident still?
Fairly.
OK, you've got 5 people to choose from. You've got to pick an opponent you think you can suss out. Maybe you've got to know a bit. Or somebody whose intelligence you kind of respect. Somebody you think they're probably going to know the answer. Or else somebody you think is maybe here because of luck. Somebody who might be a bit on the dim side. Very simple. Choose an opponent. I read a question, and before they answer, you've got to predict whether they're going to get it right or wrong.
I think I'm going to pick Ruth.
So, Ruth, he thinks he's got the measure of you. Come up and face your question. A lot of people to choose from. Why, Ruth?
I think I can read her.
See, I think he's nervous, Ruth, because he's doing that hopping from foot to foot thing again, isn't he? A bit of disco action going on up here. You've got to get this question right, as ever, Ruth, to stay in the game. Before you answer, Martin's got to predict, maybe from what he's learnt about you, maybe from your reactions, whether you're going to get it right or wrong. Now, if you get it right and he says you're going to get it right, that's fine, you're both still in the game. But you might want to psych him out. If you know the answer and you look puzzled, he might say you're going to get it wrong and we lose Martin. I'm easy, I want you both out of the game. Here's the question. Taking its name from an admiral in the British Navy, what scale measures the severity of wind? First impressions.
The reaction sort of didn't give much away. She
Didn't, did it?
She knows it. Off to the side.
She knows it, trust me, she knows it. What are you thinking?
I think she's going to get it wrong.
You think she's going to get it wrong?
Yeah.
Right. Ruth has to get this right to stay in the game. If you do get it right, Ruth, Martin goes. If you get it wrong, you're out. Either way, I lose one contestant. Taking its name from an admiral in the British Navy, what scale measures the severity of wind?
I'm going to take a guess, Paul. I think it's Nelson.
If Nelson is the answer, you're still in the game. If it's not, you're out. The answer is named after Sir Francis Beaufort, the Beaufort scale. Ruth, you are wrong. Which means, Martin, you are still in the game. And Ruth, commiserations, but I'm happy to say, sit down, you're out. So we've lost one person already. Who's up next to choose an opponent? Somebody they think they can read, somebody whose character they've got the measure of. Let's find out. And it's Alistair. Alistair, I hope you're a good judge of character. Come and choose your opponent. Now, you did it last time. In the first round, you were very good. You picked the right person, somebody to get it wrong. This time, though, you've got to pick somebody whose character you can judge, who you can predict whether they're going to get an answer right or wrong.
Tricky.
What are you thinking?
Tricky. I think it's going to be Louise.
Well, Louise, he said it was going to be tricky, then he chose you almost immediately. Join us and face your question. So you picked Louise very quickly, I thought. Why did you go for her?
She seems to have a very open and honest face.
She could be a deceitful minx.
She could be a deceitful minx.
Here we go. It's up to you to decide, though, Alistair. She's going to get this right or wrong. Who was the last British tennis player to win a singles title at Wimbledon? See, I think tennis is a bit like oysters. You love it or you hate it. You know about it or you know nothing. You wouldn't guess, you wouldn't remember the names.
I think she'll get it right.
She'll get it right. You know, that's a great answer for me, because if she's wrong, you're both out.
Brilliant.
Okay.
But if we're right, we're both in.
He's putting his faith in you, Louise. Have you narrowed it down at all?
Well, I'm thinking it has to be either a man or a woman.
That's a good start. I don't think an alien has ever won Wimbledon.
That's slightly whittled it down.
Okay.
My sense is that I'm going to go with Sue Barker.
Sue Barker. Now, if Sue Barker is right, you're both still in the game. If it's the wrong answer, you are both out. Louise said Sue Barker. The answer is Virginia Wade. Louise, you are wrong. Which means you're wrong as well, Alistair. So I can say to both of you, I'm delighted. Sit down. You're both out. So just 3 people left and me competing for £4,000. I wonder who's coming up next. And it's Martin. Martin, who got rid of Ruth for us in this round. Martin, join us and choose another opponent. So you got a question right in round 1, and you've also selected an opponent whose character you had to assess. Who do you think you can read? Who's going to give you the best chance of getting my £4,000?
I'm going to pick James.
James, he thinks he can read you like a book. Join us now and face your question. Was it just a guess that, or did you have a reason for picking James?
He seems quite clever, so in terms of getting questions right, I think the percentage is quite high. So that's why I picked him.
Remind us, James, have you answered a question yet?
No.
So he seems quite clever at answering questions, although he's not answered any on the show, Martin.
Just a feeling.
Right, OK. This is going to be interesting. James, you have to get this right to stay in the game. Martin's got to predict whether you're going to get it right or wrong, and you're both still in the running for £4,000. Here's the question. Who was voted Time magazine's Man of the Year in 1938? What are your first thoughts about that reaction?
It's a very difficult question.
Is he going to get it right or wrong?
Wrong.
Yeah? So, James, he picked you because he's impressed by your general knowledge, which he has not heard demonstrated, and then he loses all faith in you.
Right.
You've got to get this right to stay in the game. Here's the question. Who was voted Time magazine's Man of the Year in 1938?
Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens, of course, very famous Olympic athlete. If you're right, James, you are still in the game. If you're wrong, Martin stays in. The answer is Adolf Hitler. James, you are wrong. Which means, Martin, sigh of relief, you're still in the game. James, commiserations, but I'm happy to say, sit down, you're out. Just 2 people standing between me and my fee. £4,000 still up for grabs. Who's going to be coming up first? Who's going to be reading the opponent? And who's going to be answering the question? And it's going to be Katie up first. She's answered questions correctly. How good is she at sussing out the opposition? Also, of course, the only person to suss out is Martin. So will you please both join me now? Because you had no choice in this, Katie.
No.
So you can focus all your intelligence, all your instinct on that there face. In about, I'd say, 60 seconds' time, one of us will be £4,000 better off. I'm going to read Martin a question. Before he answers, you tell me whether he's going to get it right or wrong.
Okay.
Here we go. What foodstuff does the Colorado beetle attack? He's gone back to his strategy in the first round.
Staring dead ahead.
Old stone face. A man like an ice statue.
It's not dripping yet, but
He's going to get this right. I'll tell you why I think he's going to get it right.
why?
Because if he then gets it wrong, but you said he's going to get it right, I get £4,000. So don't let me influence you.
Would I?
He knows it. He's going to get it right. Don't let me sway you.
He was good on the Zara Phillips question. That was quite a tough one.
He has to get it right. He's answering the question. The person answering always has to get it right.
I know.
Look at that face, he knows this. But don't let me sway you.
I'm going to say he gets it wrong.
You think he's going to get it wrong?
I think so.
That's the answer I'm going to take.
Yeah.
Which means, Martin, if you get it right, you get £4,000. If you get it wrong, Katie gets £4,000. And I have absolutely no hope, once again, of getting any money for presenting the show. Cheers to both of you. It's no win, no fee for me, but who's going to get that money? Martin, what foodstuff does the Colorado beetle attack?
Corn.
Corn. If corn is the right answer, you get £4,000. If you're wrong, that money goes to Katie. The Colorado beetle attacks potatoes. Martin, you are wrong. Martin, commiserations, but on the whole, hey, it had to happen. Sit down, you're out. And Katie, you have won £4,000. Such a lot of money, none of it coming my way. Going to put it into your theatre group?
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations to Katie. Thanks to you for watching. Join us the next time we play No Win, No Fee. And who knows, the next time, at long last, I may get some money.